the Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's 12/20/21. The year is almost over. A lot has happened. And our good friend, Captain Capitalism, Aaron Clarey, is with us now. Aaron, hey, it's great to have you back. So you've got some major projects you're working on this year.
I had major projects, and now they're thankfully all done because I built a house, and I didn't buy a house. I built one, and everyone warned me about it, and it wasn't that bad of an experience. But it is very telling about how little we've educated now. I'd say certainly two generations of people, because there is no skilled labor to do anything associated with the house. And I think anyone who either has bought a house, they want to do renovations, or if they've built a house, you're acutely aware of this, that we have thousands of sociology majors and fine arts, masters in fine arts and puppetry majors, but we don't have any plumbers or electricians. And then what plumbers and electricians we do have are frankly just spoiled. I mean, they're not timely, they're not professional. And that, among other things, you're going to have to become your own mechanic. For those of you in California or the coast, you think you're going to move into Idaho or Wyoming, where there's like 500,000 people and, maybe 4 plumbers in the entire state, and you're going to build your dream home. No, you're going to have to do it all yourself. And I think this is a trend going forward where you are going to have to become your own mechanic, unless you want to wait 4 months for something as simple as an oil change. You are going to have to learn how to wire lights. You are going to have to learn how to do your own installation and trim work. People, I think in the city, because there's enough of a original infrastructure and original population of tradesmen, tradeswomen, you don't see it just yet. But as time goes on and the old timer boomers start to retire, and there's less linemen and less truck drive, less people with real jobs, they are being replaced with people with liberal arts degrees, and worse than that, an attitude that any real work is beneath them. And so I think I speak to everybody, not just those who are building houses, but for those of you who expect to get decent service, timely service at a restaurant, that is not happening. You have the Great Resignation. You have people just simply not going to work. I know the stimmy checks have ended, but people have adopted and adjusted their lifestyle to get by without it. So they don't have to work. They're living at home. They're living off their parents. So they're just doing without. And now we're kind of missing a generation of laborers who were supposed to come in on the entry-level jobs, as you always do, as generations before us have in the past. But they're simply not there. And now there's labor shortages that I think are going to become more and more acute as time goes on. And people are going to have to make changes in their lifestyle. Like I for the past 10 months, I have been not only doing my regular job, but literally full-time working on my cars, doing carpentry, landscaping, all that other stuff. And I think this, obviously not to the level I've been doing it, but I think this is going to be the new normal. I think, well, Kerry, probably, you and I are old enough, like our dads would kind of like, I could do it at home. I could fix the car. I think we're going to go back to that.
Well, I think this is all part of Build Back Better, right? Yeah. And you're going to have to do it yourself, though. You can't count on the government to do it for you. I mean, look, the cars way back when I was growing up and as a kid, once upon a time, the cars, like you could actually look under the hood. Mm. There were no computers. So like if a wire was off or your belt snapped or whatever, you could do your own work, and you didn't have a cover on the engine to look pretty. So women would buy the car because they don't like all those wires coming out and all the hoses and everything. So you can't even get to the engine without removing bolts now. And then you can't fix it even if you could. Yes, you can go get the plug and use your iPhone to diagnose your car. And then what? It's really difficult. Like a Mercedes has 98 different processors, all of which are designed to go bad at some point or another. Right. Mm-hmm. The built-in obsolescence. That's the one thing about electric cars. They really have much less moving parts, much less built-in obsolescence. So maybe that is a good thing. You won't be able to fix them yourself without electrocuting yourself, but in theory, they should go bad less often. But little things like changing tires, if you go to Tesla to have your wheels aligned or balanced, they don't know what they're doing. If you want a motor fixed or something blew and it isn't working right, maybe then. But actually mechanically fixing stuff, they're in a whole nother class.
Right. There's not, then that's what I was saying, is there is not enough labor to go around. There's not enough and what you do get, like, okay, I went down to Walmart. Now I'm pretty handy with mechanics. Like I can work, but my cars are old, thank God. So you can actually work on them a little bit. But I went down to the Walmart to get my tires changed because they got that tire changing device, removes the tire, rotates and everything. I don't have that. I don't have room for it. I'm thinking like, it was a 2.5 hour process. Because again, okay, fine, they got the equipment and they have the quasi-skilled labor to do it, but everyone is an incompetent moron. And I think it's even beyond not only teaching people the skills or the professionalism of showing up on time and doing it, but people are getting so lazy and stupid that we're starting to decay at the atomic level, which in the case of society is the human individual level. They couldn't find the tires. Tires weren't delivered. They were delivered to the wrong part, all that other stuff. And this is all going to cascade to the point where it is, we could talk about Joe Biden and printing off money and Build Back Better and all that. I'm more worried from a supply side angle of economics that we're just not going to produce this stuff, that there's not going to be the people to do it.
So 10 jobs that are facing acute shortages. The first one that I recently found was tire technicians.
Really?
Mechanics.
Yeah.
like I go to the Firestone place. I have my tires shipped from Tire Rack because it's a lot cheaper to the Firestone. And the guy, I bring it in, like I get there bright and early in the morning. I'm going to be the first person. And he says, hey, should have it done by 5:30 this afternoon. I said,
Right.
What? He said, it's just me and the tech back there. I can't get anyone to work here. And when I do get someone to work, they last a day or two and then they blow me off. I'm like, oh my God. So that's one. Tire changers. What else we got? What other jobs in short supply that boomers are doing? Carpenters, right? HVAC repairmen, right?
Right.
There, you want to get your AC fixed right now in Florida. It's always easy to get your AC fixed because it is a 24/7, 365 days a year job. Anyone who's an AC tech is in Florida, but in other states, I imagine it's going to be much more difficult, especially in remote locations. And of course, we mentioned truck drivers, right?
Right. Truck drivers. Look, anything that one of two things is either hard, like you had to become an accountant or you had to become an engineer or a doctor or something where there's a lot of education and hard studying involved, or any work that is quote unquote dirty and not prestigious. You are not going to get, I got to pat myself on the back a little bit, but I wrote that book Worthless in 2011, warning people about worthless degrees. Well, we now have miseducated a bunch of children who are now adults, like that idiot we looked up with his Masters of Fine Arts in puppetry. All these people have all this education, so they're not skilled and they're too arrogant and egotistical to think that this work is for them. They think everything is beneath them. Yeah.
Well, that's why welders are making $100K a year, because it's the only way you can get them. Maybe when we'll spread the wealth. We'll take it from rappers making hundreds of millions and give the money to the people that actually do the work, right? Another one we talked about before, restaurant kitchen workers.
Right.
Nobody wants to do it. They don't get paid enough, and they just had enough.
Well, let me ask you this question, Kerry, because you and I roughly from the same generation, and we did not have the internet, and we certainly did not have this labor. Now, we could complain about lazy people and the lack of production, which is true. But one of the upsides, one of the brightest silver linings to this cloud is it's never been easier for a young, industrious young man or woman to go and move and find employment. Like in our time, like you couldn't just pick up and leave. You had to like call, send out resumes, hopefully get a job, maybe drive out there, get the interview. And what you could literally do now in today's America is drive to any quasi large town, medium to large metropolitan area. You go apply to be a chef or a cook or a Uber, anything, and you're probably going to be paid a living wage. And maybe your living conditions won't be the greatest, but you're not stuck in your town anymore. You could just pick up and go anywhere in the world you want, at least in the United States you want, because there is no one willing to work. So, I mean, yeah, you can't buy anything. You can't get your tires. But if you want to go become a tire tech, you could do it. You want to go work at Jiffy Lube, you could do it. And then you could say, oh, I hate winter. I hate living in whatever, New Hampshire or Michigan. Well, go down to Tennessee, go down to Texas, go to some place where it's warm, apply for any old job, and you'll probably get it. And in 3 months, you're probably the assistant supervisor simply because you show up on time and you ain't drunk.
Hey, what did Woody Allen say? That 90% of life is showing up. Hey, assembly line workers. Somebody told me they went to a old line legacy auto assembly plant.
Right.
And like the only guys who had hair on the line were like gray, white hair. There was like no young people there. Right. What are these guys doing? Robots, man. That's just another one. So we're up to 6. We need 4 more jobs that are going to become impossible to fill.
Do you got a list right now, or are you?
I got auto tech workers, carpenters,
right.
Getting more difficult. A friend of mine called up an electrician that I had used. She needed a job done right away because somebody botched the job and she's afraid her house is going to burn down.
Right.
And he said, hey, I'll be more than happy to come by. How does December 28th sound? And that was today. 8 days. She could be a cinder in 8 days. So definitely skilled tradesmen for sure.
I would say plumbers because girls don't like to work with poo.
Yeah.
They have their early childhood education degree. They don't want to touch poo, and sensitive 90s men and the soy boys, they don't like to touch poo either. No. So I think plumbers got to be on that list somewhere, right?
Plumbers and electricians, we'll call them skilled tradesmen.
Skills trade, all right.
Yeah, because the income is great. You don't have to get a worthless degree and go into debt to become one. You're guaranteed a position, even if you suck at it, the day that you get your certificate. Actually, before, you could be interning, like construction workers in Florida, no problem. We got more than we need because they've come from every other part of the country for the weather and increased job opportunities. And really, there's no end in sight to construction booms in Florida, Texas, low-tax states, Tennessee, another perfect example. But, yeah, there's just everywhere you look, there's, burger flippers, actually fast food workers. In New York, they're like paying them $18 to $20 an hour. And they're giving them a several $100 sign-up bonus if they make it through 90 days, right? Because nobody wants the grease on them and to stink like grease at the end of an 8-hour shift, right? Even though they do get all they can eat.
Right. Well, and speaking of all you can eat, can you really? It's because this is what people don't understand. And whether you're collecting a government check, and that could be a STIMI check, or you're living at home and mom and dad are paying for it, or you're on Social Security, or let's say you're working hard and you got all this money. A paradox that I'm running into is there's not a lot to buy because it's out of stock, or you just can't. Now, I'm not a materialist. So I don't buy a lot of things, but I do like to go out and eat. Well, that part of my life is severely hampered right now because I can't go and find a sit-down restaurant. And now it's really just, I'm just going to go and get food. And what people are going to soon realize is that the economy is not this amorphous Oort cloud between government and corporations. It's the people. And you got to produce stuff for money. And we can put off all the money in the world to have all the UBI. But if there are not people working and not producing stuff, or we can't get stuff imported because a bunch of longshoremen can't get their act together in terms of time management, there's nothing to buy. And now we're at the classical example of Venezuela or Zimbabwe or the Weimar Republic or whatever instance where we just printed off money. We told the people not to work. We paid people not to work. I mean, it's not a Venezuelan level yet, but this is what you can expect going forward if you come up with UBI and STEMI checks and you don't pay people work, and then you brainwash your population to think they're God's gift. I call them Jason and Jessica Christ, where they graduate from college and they think they're going to save the world and help the minorities and cure this or solve these social. Like, no, get your ass into the kitchen, go cook up some burgers. All right, go to Jiffy Lube, change some oil, and start contributing to society and earn a living. But if people don't do this, they're going to be shocked. You think cars are expensive now? Wait till you see when ain't nobody on those assembly. Wait till these boomers retire and don't work no more. We are going to and I'm just like, I'm glad I got my crypto. I'm glad I got my silver. But we're going to have a really harsh lesson in supply side economics here if we're not having one already.
Absolutely. Hey, another one. I can tell you firsthand, I've seen it. Big box store employees. The Walmart near me used to be open 24/7. Now, due to the pandemic, they cut back their hours. They've been expanding their hours. However, they're not 24/7 anymore, and the main reason is they can't get people to work there. So big box stores, definitely, you see it. Hey, miners. Nobody wants to go in, drill into the center of the earth, go 3 miles down below the surface, inhale potentially noxious substances, whether it's coal or methane or whatever. Mining's really hazardous. I mean, miners in Colorado getting paid, low to mid 6 figures, and they still can't get enough. They have to steal them from other mines. That's a really serious issue there.
Well, and I'd like to, and I don't mean to be generational, but let's talk about Gen X parents and Boomer parents. Like, what the hell did you people think was going to happen when you told your kids they could do anything? What did you guys think was going to happen when you gave them participation trophies and you got rid of grades, you didn't hold them to standards, and the worst phrase ever is follow your heart and the money will follow. This idea that you could chase your passions. And now you guys soon you're not going to have electricity. Oh, you like $4 a gallon gas? Just you wait. So then when you're sitting there and let's talk about this. We're talking about fun things, like cars and transportation, and you buy stuff at Walmart. It might be a toy or something. When you all get older, who's going to take care of you in the medical industry? Like, you're going to have to wait. I don't care how much money you throw at this industry. I don't care if we have a nationalized system or a free market system or a quasi combination of both. If there aren't enough doctors because you convinced someone who would have gone and become a doctor to become a puppeteer, or early children's literature major, and all of a sudden you're sitting there and you need a surgery. I'm like, but it's an emergency. Yeah, it's an emergency, but there ain't enough doctors.
Yeah. Hey, we got a robot for you, though. Hey, the one profession there won't be a shortage of, Aaron, I guarantee you this, lawyers. We are so masterful at pumping out. The system produces people that don't produce anything except problems. Right. Lawyers are the masters of creating problems. My grandfather used to say it takes 1 to get you in and 10 to get you out. Yep. Yeah. Once you get a bad lawyer, man, it's all over. So,
and you know what? Definitely. You know what that also means? No short supply of politicians. See, we always need more politicians too. Now, good thing we got a lot of lawyers because politicians produce cars, right? Lawyers make food, right? Yeah, this is going to be great.
Yeah. Hey, another one, and you just hit the nail on the head, is farmers. Yeah, farm workers. No, the concept of the romantic family farm, home on the range, and they all sit back at the end of the hard day of a harvest, smoking their corn pipes and playing the banjo and all that great stuff. That doesn't exist anymore. We have agribiz. We have food that what passes for food, as I like to say. Right. And it's all heading. I think we got 12 there. So we got auto tech workers, carpenters, HVAC, truck drivers, restaurant kitchen workers, assembly line workers, skilled tradesmen, plumbers, and electricians, fast food workers, like who would ever think you couldn't have enough? But in New York, they've had shortages of them for years. Big box store employees, miners, utility linemen, and maintenance workers. And that goes for also train employees, because nobody knows how to lay track. It's really hard to do that. Doctors and farm workers. And hey, like you said, you're going to have to become a master of all trades. A jack of all trades, a master of none.
So what did we talk about? We talked about food, transportation, housing, energy, electricity, and healthcare. Like you're going to be dead. You're going to be dead. But hey, your daughter that you raised and sent off to some prestigious liberal arts college like Middlebury, while you're on your deathbed with no doctor to help you, she'll be able to lecture you about white privilege with her degree in justice studies. You know, thank God you spent $200,000 of your retirement money on her doctorate program in that.
Hey, well, maybe she'll give you a nice eulogy about privilege when you're lowering you in the your box into the grave if you go that route. Yeah, it's a sight to behold for sure. Aaron, still find you best place, Captain Capitalism.
Blogspot.com. Yeah, that's the one. And then also, if you want to go to my other consulting, it's aholeconsulting.com, but it's not a-hole, it's spelled out the naughty way. So you can visit me there. But just search Aaron Clarey, you'll find me. I'm out there.
Yeah, and if you're a helpless, hapless millennial or Gen Zer, then you need to go to A-Hole Consulting. We'll spell it out in the show notes, but it's a definite must. And if you got a question for the good captain, just shoot us an email to kl@kerrylutz.com. And of course, our website is financialsurvivalnetwork.com, where you can sign up for the free newsletter. Aaron, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever.